All right, guys, how's it going? Now, before I get into this video, I just want to let you know I'll be live on here this evening at 6:30 p.m. UK time for about an hour if you want to come along and have a chat about all things LFC. So, earlier today, the day after the transfer window closed, the club published or uploaded, made live a video on their official YouTube channel. It's called the Round Table or something, because they sat around a round table, featuring Hulk Hogan, whatever he's called, Richard Hughes, and Arne Slot. If you want to go and watch that, might be a good idea to watch that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some analysis of this. I've seen a few, comments today saying, "Oh, Dunk, have you seen that vid? I'm really looking forward to you going through it." With Dave, of course, my AI assistant that's been trained to analyse this shit. And he's going to give us his opinions. If you are on the Cop Talk VIP members website, the full transcript is available on there. If you follow Cop Talk on X, just at Cop Talk, the full transcript is on there. And I also think I dropped it into our Telegram chat room, which isn't really promoted much but if you want to join that chat room, it's on Telegram, so it's on your mobile device. There's 300 or 400 Liverpool fans in it. Just email support@coptalk.com and Charlotte will take care of that for you, my daughter. Okay, so the first thing you're going to think about this is timing. All right, so it's obviously dropped the day after the transfer window was closed, and during a period where there's been criticism, or following a period, are we still in it? Have we left it? I don't know. Of criticism towards Arne Slot, and Richard Hughes has been getting it in the neck as well. Bits, quite a bit of speculation regarding those two. Not so much anything to do with Hulk Hogan or out like that. People don't usually talk about them. But there's been a bit of criticism. So this video, at first impressions is, it's a bit of like feel good, something like that. A bit of feel good. And so it makes me think straight away, oh yeah, you put that out today, have you? Let's have a look, that kind of thing, and see what's going on. It's kind of like it portrays unity, I think. And I think that's what we'll conclude at the end of this video. I think it shows unity. In other words, like, well, we're not going to sack him. Look, we're sat having a nice conversation with him. So that's what I think. That's my first impression. So I threw the entire transcript at Dave, and basically said, about, is it PR? Is it, what were the things I said about messaging? I got him to analyse every word spoken, it's paying attention to Hughes and Slot more so than Hogan, etc., etc. So we'll go through it together. And basically, Dave opened with, it can be PR and still be real. Big clubs have never produced content that wasn't at least partly message management. So, yeah, of course there's PR in this. Yeah, of course we need to, put on a united front. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bullshit, all right? So, who's in it? Well, we know Slot's in it. We know Hughes, the sporting director, recruitment, squad planning, football operations, leadership, and the key link between coach and the ownership model is present. And also Hogan himself, CEO, business operations, club strategy, sustainability, infrastructure, commercial growth. So basically it matters because it's essentially a triangle, the coach, sporting director, and CEO. So is it a PR attempt? Well, the honest answer, yes, it functions as PR, but not in the sinister conspiracy sense. Not everything has to be, fucking up to no good sort of thing, conspiracy theories and stuff. It's more in the classic club messaging after a rough patch sense, which makes sense, really, doesn't it? Dave says here, your timing point is the giveaway. It's released immediately after a window with no January signings. Well, like maybe a January deal that's happening in the summer, but nothing, supporters would like to have seen something this month, I think. In a season where supporters are critical and the series isn't frequent, right? This is worth pointing out. the last episode of this was 8 months ago, so it's not like a weekly feature, you know, like you couldn't say, hang on a fucking minute, what you on about conspiracy to do one of these every week? You know, it's 8 months ago since the last updated it. So it's very, very well, it's very well planned, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? They know what they're doing. Let's get that out when the window closes and let's just smooth things down. Common sense makes sense as well. So yeah, basically this is exactly when clubs roll out, you know, explain the model, show unity, calm the noise. Content, so PR, yes. Manufactured, not necessarily. So what the messaging is doing, we're aligned, stop imagining civil war. That is the backbone of the whole video, really. Hogan frames the transition as almost a wholesale change on the football side and calls it an incredibly seamless transition. Don't you know about that? Hughes calls the first meeting synergy right from the first minute, you know, when they first met and all that. Hughes explicitly says match day decisions are the coach's domain and the judgment is not happening, definitely not on a daily basis. That combination is designed to kill the narrative of Slot's isolated, Hughes is hovering, the execs are at war, which some Twitter twats have suggested, or he's about to be binned. We're a serious club, sustainable, shrewd and patient. These are the things we always hear, right? This is where the January window context quietly sits. Hogan leans hard into sustainability and responsibility, infrastructure and commercial growth funding football, and patience is required, difficult in the world we live in. That's classic Fenway Sports Group era language. We're not panicking in January because the model is long term. We back the coach, but he's also accountable. This is subtle, and it's mostly in Hughes's boundary setting. Hughes says match day is the coach's domain. He won't spill into it. His job is to put this man in a good as position as possible. That frames Hughes as supportive, not controlling, but it also positions him as the person responsible for creating the environment. Therefore, if things go wrong, the structure is still ultimately his domain. We understand the fans, look at the parade, look at the tragedy. The emotional sections do real work here. Slot, the bus energy, the certainty on the day, the most beautiful part being the journey in. Hughes, I'm still in awe about the parade. This is basically, I get it now. And then also the Jota section. It's the ultimate, this is more than football segment, and it humanises Slot while reminding everyone the club behaved well as a collective. That's not window related at all, but it's reputation management for leadership. These are decent people in a serious institution. So let's look at some of these focusing on Hughes, I think this is. Hughes' key phrases and why they matter. Synergy right from the first minute. Okay, I believe that's in relation to, when they were sounding out Slot. I nearly said clock them. This isn't neutral language, it's emphatic. It's there to remove any doubt about compatibility. I had a huge dossier. That's a signal. The appointment wasn't vibes-based, it was process, data, work, due diligence. Everything that involves match day, that's always the manager's domain. This is the clearest hands-off pledge. It addresses a support of fear, sporting director meddling kind of thing. The judgment is not happening, not on a daily basis. That is very deliberate. You don't say that unless people are whispering the opposite. My job is to put this man in as a good position as possible. Again, supportive framing, and it makes Hughes partly responsible for outcomes without saying I'm to blame. On recruitment and settling signings, you want to be there to support them but not suffocate them. This mirrors the whole leadership message, supportive, not overbearing. It's leadership branding. On the future, the ages of the players we recruited is very deliberate. That's a direct justification of strategy, exactly the kind of line that lands differently the day after a quiet January. Hughes is speaking like someone who knows supporters are wondering what he does whether he's interfering, and whether he backs Slot. And I think that's fair. So he is speaking like that, isn't he? He's, responding to those things, I think. The themes patience, sustainability, long-term planning, alignment roles are exactly what you choose if you wanted to soothe fan frustration without addressing it head on. Dave says, I'd call it a strategic comms piece that avoids the flashpoint topics while reinforcing the club's preferred story about how it operates. That's PR craft. Does it change, the chance of Slot being axed in the summer? Because I've noticed today, especially on the Cop Talk VIP members website behind me, people have watched this and gone, don't look like they're about to fire him. And I think you would agree with that, but that's exactly the image that they want to portray and what they're trying to do here, right? They're getting this out at the right time, try and calm things down, because Hughes and Edwards certainly don't want to fire him because they recruited him, all right? And who wants to fire him anyway? We all want him to succeed, surely. Well, there'll be some people out there that don't want him to succeed because they can't stand the football, and I understand that. But I think this is, I think that they want you to think that won't happen. Do I think that that this changes the chance of Slot being axed in the summer? No, I don't. I don't think that at all, to be honest with you. You can sit around as many tables as you want every day of the week and put this on a live stream. But the reality is you're judged on results. They can say, we don't judge every day. But that's bullshit, innit? You're judged on results. You're judged on performance in whatever business you are. If you're hired by someone to do something, you are judged every day. And if you're not judged every day, then you aren't doing a very good, you're not very good at leadership, are you? Right? So if Slot loses, consecutive games on the bounce, drops out of the top four, this is irrelevant, right? But if he wins, 4 or 5 league games in a row and secures, a nice healthy position in those Champions League places, it's still irrelevant, right? So to me, this doesn't mean anything, guys, at all. It doesn't. I just think it's a nice, positive feeling, like, let's have a nice little sit down, get together, try and calm things a little bit, but also justify certain things where fans are unhappy, okay? So does it change the chance of Slot being axed in the summer? Dave says it changes the tone, not the math. What the video strongly suggests. The club wants the public to believe Slot is backed and leadership is unified. If you were genuinely lining him up for the chop in a few months, you usually don't publish a long sit-down where the sporting director praises him repeatedly, the CEO talks seamless transition, and the whole thing is we're in this together. That doesn't mean it can't happen. Football is football. But it's not the body language of an imminent sacking. And I would agree with that. I don't think there is a threat of an imminent sacking because I think a sacking comes after a period of time. And as Jose Felix Diaz said in Spain, the journalist over here that's been, obviously talking about Alonso to Liverpool possibilities. I've got a mail stand video about that, which I'll do next, I think. That's for channel members. As Jose Felix Diaz said, recently, the thing is at Liverpool, Slot's, he's clinging on, because he wins a game and then he loses a game, and then when everyone's angry, he wins a game and then he loses a game. So it's that kind of backwards and forwards thing. So there's not going to be an imminent sacking unless he consecutively loses games. So I agree with it. So it's not the body language of an imminent sacking. I would agree with that. What it does not do, it doesn't commit to anything. It doesn't address results targets. It doesn't mention next season, and it doesn't tackle the recruitment criticism directly. So it reduces the Slot is definitely gone narrative, but it doesn't eliminate the possibility. On the Xabi Alonso replaces Slot speculation specifically, Dave says you can't validate the strength of that from this video because obviously that's not what it's about. Dave's verdict, is it PR? Yes. Measured, calm, credibility building PR. Is it dishonest? Not obviously. It's mostly role explanation and unity signalling and cultural connection. Why release it now? Because it's the perfect pressure release valve after a disappointing window Remind supporters what the club is, how it's run, and that people in charge are aligned. That's what they want you to believe. Does it make slot summer sacking less likely? It makes an imminent sacking look less likely because the messaging is backed and stable. But it doesn't rule out a change if the season collapses. And that, that's where it's down to Slot, isn't it? Because it's his job to lose or his job to retain. That's what I think. Now, there is a lot more that I could go over with you in this. A lot of quotes and things, but we would be here for an hour if I went through it all, because I think the original video is probably 35 minutes long or something like that. And then we would break it down and talk about each thing. To be honest with you, I won't watch it. I've not watched it. I've got the entire transcript and I've gone through the entire transcript. So I don't need to watch, and it's quicker to do that. But I think that if you're one of those people that's like, do you know what, Don, I don't want to sit through all of this. Basically, I've just told you what it's about. So the entire message here is, we're a serious club, long-term strategy, long-term plans. We're all on the same page. Everything's fine. But there is no, the difficult questions are not answered, or not asked, even asked, But that's what would you expect? This is a club production. This is a friendly thing. To be honest with you, I think the people that I talk to and trust the most concerning Liverpool Football Club will look at that and go, don't make any difference whatsoever, don't. And I would agree with them. And I also agree with Dave in that, yes, it is club PR, but what do you expect? That's the job, to put on the, everything's fine. I don't think there's any misleading here. I don't think they're sat there going, yeah, we're going to fuck that. What was that? I don't think we're going to fuck that fucker off in this. I don't think it's that at all. I just think it's like, now, just, business as usual. We'll plod on, see what happens. But it's up to Slot. It's like, people ask me all the time, what do you think will happen? And as I say repeatedly, it's based on your results. It's that simple, So let's see what happens, and maybe things are a little bit more positive. I listen to a lot of stuff on the radio. I don't really watch television, to be honest with you, these days. It's a load of shite. Yes, we put Sky Sports on. They got someone stood there in skin-tight jeans, looking about 15 years of age and that. I think Liverpool, I can't be done with stuff like that. I just want to hear from football legends and stuff, people that have actually played the game, And so on the radio, I listen to the radio, and it's kind of, there's like different arguments when you listen to the constant, football shows on the radio. There's some footballers and professionals that are like, he's not good enough for Liverpool. This, win a couple of games, it don't change anything. And then there's other ones completely on the other side that are like, he absolutely deserves to, be given the chance. I think both opinions there are irrelevant because it's all about the league table. Now, let's have a look at the league table. I can't remember what the league table looks like. Let's have a look. Premier League standings. That'll do, won't it, guys? Here we go. I'll have to rely on Google's. I don't like using that. I prefer BBC, mate. So, where are we? 6th, right? 39. 2 points off. We're behind Manchester United. United. We're behind Manchester United. They should sack the fucker right now, as far as I'm concerned. Aston Villa doing all right, aren't they, up in 3rd? But, you look at that, you're not far off top 4. It's a game, innit? But you got to win your fucking games, and that's the thing. So, as far as I'm concerned, where's the fixtures on it? I hate this shite here. Let's have a look. So Man City, Sunday, 8th of February. Sunderland, my mate's team. Sunderland, all right, aren't they? Lose to Man City, lose to Sunderland, this then becomes irrelevant. So today, it served its purpose because people are here on my website say, it looks like everyone's, united. But it don't make any difference, does it, guys? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all about results. Win 3-4 league games, beat City, beat Sonic. This is irrelevant. Fucking yeah, everyone's happy, it's positive, let's keep going, alright, and all that. Lose them fucking games and it'll be like, you can delete that, mate, get fucked. You know, so I don't put too much into this. I find these kind of things cringe and boring anyway. But maybe it just depends on your age, and I'm a miserable fucker. What did you think of it? You know, maybe you want to go and watch it if you haven't. But that's roughly basically what's in it, all right? So I do believe there was a James Pearce article, which I want to take a look at. And I've got some mail stand stuff as well for you. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this little, you know, bit of analysis, if you like. I always like to see what Dave's got to see, you know, because he sees things differently than me. You know, I forget a lot of stuff, as you know. So yeah, it's just a PR job. They're just trying to fly the flag, show that there's unity, and see what's what. But it's all about results, and that's what I'm going to leave you with. All right, don't forget I'm live tonight, 6:30 on here. If you want to support me, if you enjoy my channel, please thumbs up the video. Please drop me a comment. I love hearing from you. I've not been around much the last few days. Obviously, I've had a weekend. And yesterday I had to catch up on some, you know, paperwork and boring shite at home. But yeah, as a result, I ain't got many comments to read. You know, when I go for a didgeridoo, I like to sit there and read your comments. So yeah, make sure you leave some comments for me. If you want to support my channel, there's a love heart under the video, which is called a super thanks. That's a good way of supporting the channel. You can become a channel member, of course, if you want to watch the, what they're called? Mail stand videos, that's it. See, I'm not very good at this promoting stuff, am I? There's 3 links in the video description if you want to support me via an alternative method. And of course, Revolut is my preferred one, because that's me beer kitty on a Saturday after a hard week's work. Yeah, I feel like I'm not pronouncing my words properly today. And for the record, my beer kitty's empty. All right. All right, guys, I'll leave it with you. I'll be back in a minute. Hope you enjoyed the video.